Schönen guten Tag, mein Name ist Axel vom Gutscheinpony. Wir drehen heute eine weitere Folge für den Freisprecher und die Gründerszene aus einer noch zu ratenden Stadt. Und zwar befinden wir uns, wie man das unschwer erkennen kann, auf einem Boot. So, wenn wir jetzt den Kameraschwenk hier rüber machen, was sehen wir denn da? Oh, da sehen wir eine Brücke im Hintergrund. Und zwar ist das die Golden Gate Bridge. In San Francisco befinden wir uns, offensichtlich. San Francisco steht ja weltweit für Unternehmertum im Internet. Und wir interviewen heute eine Unternehmerin. Jennifer heißt die gute Dame. Und Jennifer erzählt uns, wie sie zu ihrer Internetidee gekommen ist und was sozusagen der Kern ist ihrer Internetfirma. Und wir haben hier die Gründerin von HDGReetings.com, eine herzallerliebste Freundin, die sehr erfolgreich eine Seite betreibt, die sie euch jetzt näher vorstellen wird. Und dazu gehen wir mal über hier zur lieben Jennifer. Jennifer, how are you doing today?
Hi Axel, good. How are you?
Good. Really happy to have you here on our show. So tell us something about you. You came up with the idea HDGreetings.com, right?
Well, I came up with part of the idea. I actually got together with a technologist, and this was a guy who had led all product development around 3D animation products at Microsoft. And he had this sort of genius idea that we could take cinematic quality video and combine users' digital assets, right? So you could take a photo, user photo, put it in a movie, apply 3D special effects, and the user would feel like they were in the movie.
Are there any competitors? It sounds pretty unique to me.
Right. Well, actually, it's an extremely unique technology. There are other companies that do similar things. So you might be familiar with JibJab, which is an e-card site.
Yeah.
Are you familiar with JibJab?
No.
In the U.S., people are very familiar with JibJab. But basically, JibJab allows you to take a face, right, from a photo, crop it, and you can put yourself on an animated body. Okay. So they kind of do one thing, and they do it very well, and it's funny. But there was not the power of the same technology. We just have more possibilities with what we do.
You are a successful founder, and you're female, which is really unique. We don't have so many female entrepreneurs in Germany. So how do you manage all that?
Well, yeah, I think these all have been challenges. I think for a startup, right, you have a limited amount of money. So in our case, we were lucky. We were bootstrapped by myself and my co-founder. We actually had decent starting money, but you have to make well-placed bets, right? You have a limited amount of time and a limited amount of money to make the right choices. And you hope that they pay off in the time that you have available. So I think we made those bets around this e-card / gift card business and around the music business. And each of them have had their own challenges, I have to say. So I'd say in the music business, it's been around rights, and it's been around the fact that music labels are really stretched for money right now. Yeah. In the e-card business, I'd say the e-card companies want to own their own content. Our business model was to syndicate, right? To own the rights to it, but to license it out to other parties who could use it.
You always have to convince them about your project, right? It's always the same. Going forward, hey, this is good for you. Check it out. It works.
Right, yes. And I say for a big company like that, we really needed to be a priority for them to do something with our project. I think that's the good and the bad of working with a big company, right? Like, they can do a lot for you. They have a lot of users. They have a lot of money, but it's harder to be a priority for a really large company.
So what are your next steps now? What are you looking up to?
Yeah, so I'd say at this point we're at the end of our runway, so to speak. We've done some very interesting things. We are actively seeking acquirers. So I think at this point, right, this is sort of the natural endpoint for a lot of entrepreneurs. Right, this has been my baby. I've been very invested and involved in this project. I love this company and what it does. I would love to see it in good hands and see more done with it. But at this point, I think our choices are either to sell the company as a whole, which means selling the solution to someone, or selling individually the content or the technology. And we're talking to people on each of those fronts.
Okay, so that sounds a little complex to me, because you have to make the decision, okay, who would be a right partner to get the whole company, or who would be a partner to get slices of it, right?
Well, a little of each, I'd say. I mean, ideally we're going after those people who would be who would be the right partners to take on the whole company. That would be the ideal situation. But like I said, we have a couple of different solutions, right? We have the e-card solution that went with the animator community, and there's the gift card component of that. And then we also have the music video piece. And I think there are very different types of companies that would be interested in each of those.
All right. Okay. So, and what are your steps to manage to get to know these people? How do you manage to find somebody?
Yeah, so I think it's similar to the business development process for getting partnerships for the company. Have to think of the short list of companies that make sense, and some of those are companies that we've already dealt with.
What would you say? What's the difference between the U.S. and any other market?
Wow. So as an entrepreneur, I haven't experienced other markets. I've lived in other places, but I'd say here there's definitely an infrastructure built to help your company, right? So there are big companies that you can strike partnerships with. There are a lot of angel investors and venture capital companies to help fund you, and there are a lot of developers. If you can find any free developers, but it's very hard.
You say that hiring people is a huge challenge, right? To get the right people.
Oh, absolutely, right? The team is everything.
The team is everything means how do you get good programmers?
Well, I think part of it is kind of who you know. You let people know about your ideas. In school, I met developers. At companies where I've worked, I met developers. Just bumping into people at bars.
Okay, so that sounds like networking, bumping into people in bars, okay.
They're everywhere, I guess is what I'm trying to say.
For people who want to enter the American market, is there any idea, would you, things you would recommend? Anything?
It sort of depends on what stage you're at. I mean, I actually got a lot out of working for Amazon and Netscape. I made a lot of contacts there that were very helpful for me, and it helped me learn how those businesses worked before I started my own. I'd say also just if you have any contacts here in the area where you would like to start a business, to get in touch with those people.
So it's all about networking and having contacts?
Yeah, and find an interesting business opportunity and just kind of get started.
But to build up this business opportunity is that's more, you would say it's easier here than anywhere else, right? Because it's the land of plenty. Everything is possible.
Well, so yes and no. I'd say the infrastructure is here if you have a great idea, you're a smart person and you know how to find it, but there's a lot of competition. So
you have to be aware that there are a lot of competitors, even you don't see them. They're everywhere around the corner.
Right, and by competition, I don't necessarily mean other companies, but other bright people with good ideas. A lot of good ideas.
Jennifer, your personal experience in one sentence.
I think the startup experience is a complete roller coaster, but it's quite a ride.
And you end up with the same idea you started with?
Absolutely not. So I think you need to know that going in. The chances are you go in with a good idea, and even if you're funded on that idea, chances are it will be a very different idea 6 months or a year later.
How do you see the future then? Is it easier to raise money now than before a couple of years?
I'd say a couple of years ago it was probably still a bit easier. I think venture capitalists, angels, are a little bit conservative right now. A lot of people say that angels are filling the role that VCs used to take, and companies are more conservative than they used to be, less willing to invest in early stage ventures. So you really have to be good.
Okay.
and follow the money first, meaning if you can earn money from your business out of the gate and build on that might be a good way to go.
So to stay independent?
To stay independent, but also prove out the business before you seek the investment. Okay. A lot of times they need you to be at a later stage or to have really proven it out.
So it needs to be a proven business. That would be the easiest way to raise money.
Or to prove it out in some ways, right? You might be able to start small, test it with a group, show the conversion, right? Show that people are willing to buy. And then basically say, if I could raise money, I could take that idea and I could grow it a millionfold.
All right. Dann würde ich sagen, das ist das Wort zum Sonntag. Jennifer, thank you so much for your time. Okay. And all the very best for HDGreetings.com, right?
Thanks, Axel. That's right.
My pleasure, and have a great evening.
All right, you too.
Bim, bam.